The supraspinatus muscle can be found deep to the superficial shoulder muscles, and it's one of the 4 rotator cuff muscles. It originates in the supraspinous fossa, which is this structure here, so the depression that's at the top of the scapula, and it's found just above this, which is the spine of the scapula. And then from its origin, it actually runs laterally, so outside, and underneath this structure here, which is found at the top outer part of the scapula, so the superolateral part of the scapula, and that's called the acromion. So it runs underneath that structure to insert into the greater tubercle of the humerus, which is this entire bump on the top of the humerus bone. Now, it's stated in textbooks that it inserts to the superior facet of the greater tubercle, which is at the top here. And then we have a middle facet and an inferior facet. The middle is for infraspinatus and the inferior is for teres minor. They're 2 other rotator cuff muscles. Often, the tendon of the supraspinatus merges with one or both of these other rotator cuff muscles to form one larger tendon. So it's not always quite as distinct as this. In terms of its action, this muscle's main role is actually to work with the rest of the rotator cuff. And what they do together is provide dynamic stability at this joint, which is the glenohumeral or shoulder joint. So the glenohumeral joint or shoulder joint is a ball and socket joint. And what that offers us is lots of mobility. Now, to improve the stability, there are a number of things that you can do, including deepen the socket. We have also a cartilage ring that's called the labrum here. We can use ligaments, and the hip, for example, has got very strong ligaments. But at the shoulder, we need loads of mobility. And so to try and give back as much stability as we can get so that the joint doesn't sublux and dislocate, we have the rotator cuff. And what they do is they pull the head of the humerus here into the socket and keep those 2 structures aligned whilst you're moving your arm. That's important clinically because if you damage the rotator cuff, one of the muscles or many of the muscles, you can create problems with how the ball and socket move here, meaning the humeral head can move around more and cause pain within the shoulder. If you actually, though, isolate rotator cuff muscles, so if you just isolated the supraspinatus muscle and looked at what it did on its own, well, it abducts the arm, meaning it pulls it out from the side. Classically, that is written to be initiating abduction, or that it does the first 30 degrees of abduction. However, we know that that is incorrect, and this muscle works throughout all of abduction. But just remember the key role, dynamic stability with the other rotator cuff muscles at the glenohumeral or shoulder joint, keeping that joint stable during movement with the other rotator cuff. So now let's look at the innervation to this muscle, and it receives its nerve supply from the suprascapular nerve. So this nerve that you can see here. If we just take off the supraspinatus muscle, you can see the suprascapular nerve run down and through this structure here, which is the suprascapular notch, and then it gives off 2 branches. One branch to the supraspinatus, it runs around the lateral portion of your scapula to then give off a second branch. That actually supplies the infraspinatus muscle that sits within here. And the suprascapular nerve itself actually comes off of the superior trunk of the brachial plexus. That's this structure here. And the superior trunk of the brachial plexus is made up of nerve roots C5 and C6. So cervical nerve root 5 and 6. So you'll see often written the supraspinatus supplied by, and then it'll say suprascapular nerve in brackets C5, C6. And that's what that means. It means that it's supplied by the nerve roots C5 and C6. They make up the suprascapular nerve. But for accuracy, the supraspinatus is supplied by the suprascapular nerve. So now let's switch over to its blood supply. The supraspinatus gets 90% of its blood supply from this artery here, which is the suprascapular artery. And then it gets 10% of its blood supply from this one, which is the dorsal scapular artery you can see running down the back of the scapula here. And both of those actually originate off of this subclavian artery. And so that is the anatomy of the supraspinatus muscle. If you've enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a like and subscribe. We're going to go through tears of supraspinatus in our next video, and for more, make sure you visit clinicalphysio.com. Thank you for watching.